All right, let's bring up our next guest. How you doing?
Hello.
You a Muslim?
Very good. Yes, I am.
Awesome, awesome. You how long you been a Muslim?
My whole life.
Your whole life, okay.
Yes.
Born into it, raised into it.
Yes.
All right, for
yes,
sure.
I was.
So what have you heard about like growing up in Islam, about the Quran's preservation? What has been the, like, you know, what's common knowledge as someone who's born and raised?
It is 100% preserved, and actually you would not be a Muslim if you didn't believe that.
You can't be a Muslim if you don't believe that the Quran is 100% preserved.
Yes.
So even if you believe that maybe the Quran had some changes or some variants or whatever, but maybe it wasn't, like, it's not 100% preserved letter for letter, but it's relatively preserved. You can't be a Muslim and believe that it's relatively preserved.
What do you mean relatively preserved?
Like, let's say you have a Muslim that believes that there are some like a Muslim that doesn't believe that every word has been preserved. Like there are some variants, but you know, the message is the same basically.
If you're talking about the different readings of the Quran, that does exist, and we also do believe in those.
Okay.
But you have to understand that if you're going to say that there is like 10 or 7 readings, you're going to claim that those are different Qurans, I would say that's wrong. I would just say that back in Prophet Muhammad days, there was different tribes that spoke different dialects, and actually it makes sense for the Quran to be pronounced differently.
Okay, so you're saying that these aren't different words. These are just different ways to say a word, how to pronounce it.
No, even if it does have some words that are different, it just completes each other.
Okay,
basically.
I got you. So that the meaning won't change.
Yes.
Okay, so what if there are meaning changes in these variants? Would that mean that the Quran's not, I guess, perfectly one or preserved?
No, as I said, like even the meanings, they complete each other.
So there can be different meanings, but complete each other?
Yes.
How so?
What do you mean, how so? I mean, but for example, there's one example from the first chapter in the Quran where instead of saying Maliki Yawmiddin, which is the owner of the Day of Judgment, it says Maliki Yawmiddin, the king of the Day of Judgment. Now, I don't see that as being like a totally different realm. You know, I see it as just God is the owner of the Day of Judgment, and He is the king of the owner of the Day of Judgment. Yeah, and so we submit that these are all Quran. These are all parts of the Quran. You know.
And you're saying that Allah said both when He revealed the Quran. He said both of these things. He said both king and owner.
No, we say that Prophet Muhammad read it to his companions that way. So yes, we believe it's also part of the Quran that Allah has revealed to Prophet Muhammad 100%.
There's an example that I use, and I would like your thoughts on it. It's in Surah As-Safat, chapter 37, verse 12.
Wait,
and
so
how would you?
It says you were surprised and they mocked.
Right. And so this is Allah speaking to Muhammad about how he was surprised when the disbelievers mocked and ridiculed the revelation. Right now, you have another reading that says, instead of Bela Jepta as right there, it says Bela Jeptu, where Allah says, I was surprised while they mocked. Now, would you say that changes, that's complementary, or would that like completely change? Because it's changing from Muhammad being surprised and Allah being surprised about the mocking.
Now, I'm not sure about the existence of that reading, to be honest. Which reading specifically is that?
It's Khalaf an Hamza and Al-Qasai. Let me I'll show it on the screen in just a second. Hold on. Let me pull that up.
I can pull that one exactly up.
You could?
I could. Wait.
I have it over here on the right side of the screen. I hope it's big enough that you can see it. Right here. Can you see it?
Okay, bal ajibtu wa yaskharun.
And this is Khalaf an
What
Hamza.
is translate to English?
Well, you're Arab, aren't you? You know what ajibtu means. Ajibtu, I am surprised. So Allah speaking here, He's saying, I'm surprised.
So something like this, you can agree, changes the meaning completely, right? Like I said, like they both don't mean the same thing or work together.
Interesting.
There's a few things like this, man. There's a few examples like this where, but this
I will note this one down, you know, for personal research.
For sure.
It's from Khalaf an Hamza. You know how your Hafs bin Asim? This is Khalaf.
Yes, I've never read Khalaf an Hamza though.
But it doesn't matter. You said to us it was dialects. We're trying to tell you it's not dialects because it's different from you to I. Pronouns. Damir.
So the thing that you gotta know about is that not everybody agrees that all of these qira'at exist.
Oh, so this Qur'an doesn't exist. So how do you know one second. So how do you know what the Quran is and how can you define it if you all can't agree what exists and what doesn't and what is Quran and what isn't? That's a problem.
Okay, but but it just it differs on like some things are like certain 100% without a doubt. And some other things are a weak resource and weak narration.
I thought the weak thing was only hadith that can be da'if and sahih and now you're saying
qira'at, yes. When it comes to qira'at, yes.
Qira'at, so you're saying some qira'at are weak and some are strong.
I'm not really sure about that, to be honest.
Okay, so if you're not sure, please don't lie. Because there's no such thing.
I'm not lying.
Because you're just claiming something. Don't give fatwa if you don't know. I'm sorry, I'm frustrated because Muslims keep saying we're not scholars, and then you just declare a qira'ah da'if. That's really bad, my friend.
It's one of the canonical readings, right?
It's one of the canonical readings. Do you know what canonical readings are?
No, I do not. Please inform me.
Okay.
Do you know who Ibn Mujahid is?
No, not really.
Yeah. So Ibn Mujahid was the one who introduced the 7 and popularized the 7. Okay.
Okay.
These are the ones when we say canonical, we mean these are the ones that the Muslims accept. Like these are the words of Allah, and even Muslims will say that they're mutawatira. Like they say that they're all like you can't doubt them. And then later in time, another scholar, Ibn al-Jazari came in about like 600 years later, and he added 3 more readings, and those also now are considered watara. Like they're all considered. Even though he didn't believe that about himself, he himself didn't believe that these Qur'ans had this mass transmission. He thought that there's different ways to prove it. But Muslims today will tell you that these are, we're just telling you what the scholars say, that these are all accepted, these are all the word of Allah. But we're showing you that there's
everybody is agreeing on this? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's no Sunnis that disagree on this. No Sunnis who disagree on this. You're Sunni, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so there's no Sunni who disagrees on this. Now, when it comes to what we're talking about, whether there's differences and how these differences affect the meaning, this might be new to you, but there's a lot of variants that change the meaning, even legal rulings. Some of them will give different fiqh, different legal rulings based on how you read them. Okay, so there's a lot of examples.
Can you give me an example where, like, other than this one they just gave that like makes a huge difference in rulings?
Yeah, okay, sure, no problem. So I can give you, I mean, I have like 3 examples that I can give you, but I'll just give you one right now because you're asking for one. So
and can you like pull it up too, like the same way you just did with the
no problem. We'll have it on the screen.
That'll be good.
No problem.
All right, 1 second. Here we go.
Okay, so chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, chapter 2 verse 184 in Hafs, and it's 183 in Warsh and other readings. So this one, it's talking about what do you do if you miss a fast, right? So if you're traveling or you're sick, you're on a journey or you're sick, what do you do to make up for the fast? Yes.
أيام معدودات فمن كان منكم أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر وعلى الذين يطيقون فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع.
No. Masakin.
Do you see the alif? It may be a bit small.
Okay.
Let's try to zoom in on it.
Do you see it?
You see it?
طعام مساكين.
So miskin, masakin, right? You see that? Okay. So this one gives you a different legal ruling. Okay.
Which means basically instead of feeding one miskin, feed multiple.
Exactly. So this changes the meaning. Like if you're a Muslim and you're fasting, and let's say you get sick one day or you're traveling so you don't fast, well, how do you make it up? How can you redeem it? Well, if you're reading one Quran, maybe you'll just feed one poor person.
That's why we have the Sunnah that explain the Quran.
Okay, but you asked us for a difference now. You're not saying what does the Sunnah say, which by the way, there's different rulings on different like madhab will differ. They differ on these things too. You know that they have different legal rulings themselves. So sometimes they'll use these different readings to justify their rulings, No, this is a particular one where if you miss a fast as a Muslim, you don't know how to make it up. Okay, well, do you feed one poor person, miskin, or do you feed multiple masakin? Which one do you do? Well, it depends on which Quran you're reading. That changes how you practice Islam.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if we both believe that Allah is the all just, the all merciful, and he observed the way these scholars came up with this ruling, and it was legitimate, they were sincere, they were honest with it, and they looked at it from all the resources that they had, and they came up with this ruling after studying it properly.
Okay.
And then some people followed that genuinely.
We're not saying you're not genuine. We're saying, do you believe that Allah revealed to Jibreel to reveal to Muhammad, one time saying miskin and another time saying
no? The point, yeah, the point is that you ask for a reference to show, okay, give me an example of something that gives you a meaningful legal difference. This gives you a legal difference, and now you're saying, oh, we don't base it off of a verse. So why did you ask me for a verse in the first place? The fact of the matter is that you do have scholars, the jurists, they do base rulings off of verses, and they go to the Sunnah as well. You're right. I'm not saying they don't, but they use these verses to determine the rulings. And some of them will argue, not just on this verse in particular, I'm just using this as an example, but other verses, they'll say, for example...
Okay, but actually if you look at...
They'll use these variant readings to make their rulings. So the different Qurans give you different legal rulings. So how you practice Islam changes based on which Quran you're reading. The point is that these two variants give you two different meanings, and these are different legal rulings. So that's what you wanted, that's what you got. We have other examples if you want.
Yeah, so the point is it's not dialect, my friend. It's not dialect, because miskin and masakin is singular and plural, jama. That's not a dialect, that's different. That's our point. Your Quran is not about dialect change, difference. You said tribes and all that stuff in the beginning.
What do you claim it is about then?
Sorry?
What's that?
What do you... Yeah, okay. So you claim that there's different versions of the Quran. Is that what it is?
It's in front of you.
Yes.
It's in front of you. We started with Ajibta and Ajibtu. You didn't like that. You said you're gonna find out. You said it couldn't be canonical, and then we found out it was canonical. You said show me legal rulings because you were trying to say, okay, it can't be that bad. It is that bad. There are lots of examples. So your point is you have different Qur'ans in Arabic. You don't have one Qur'an everybody knows and everybody loves and word for word and letter for letter, just different dialect. That's a lie, my friend. They told me that same lie when I was growing up. And I also didn't know, same as you.
And you are now what?
Doesn't matter to you.
We're Christians.
We're Christians. You're a victim. You're a victim of their lies. They lie to you. Like they lie to you.
No, it's just like I'm not an expert. I've never really came across this.
Yeah, because you didn't need to come across it because we just believed it.
Give us an example of something that you want. The other guy said theological differences. You said legal differences. We have the examples of legal differences. How many differences will it take for you to change your mind and say, hey, someone lied to me? All these different Qurans are telling me different things.
Listen, it's like impossible for you to change me from Islam.
Well, that's stupid. That's stupid, my friend. Because you can have the devil
stop with the personal insults.
What's the point of you asking us for examples and evidence if you say there's nothing you can say?
I'm just really interested in seeing what you guys have.
Yeah, well, you're interested, but you ask for evidence when you don't want to change your mind. Then you're a waste of my time. Then go believe the lies that you want to believe then. Don't ask me for evidence and then say nothing you can say can change your mind. You want God to come to your bedroom, Jesus himself to come to you and say, I am God. And then you say, no matter what you say, I won't change my mind. Well, guess where people like that end up? People who saw the miracles of the prophets and they said, no, nothing you can say can change our minds. People like you. I advise you to change that and say, if I see evidence, I will believe.
Oh, let me ask something. Let me ask. So when you're saying that you're going to look into it, what does that look like? What is it when you look into these issues? What does that process look like for you?
Go ask my dad, my uncles,
the same people who told you the thing that we just debunked.
So
well, I'll just keep looking further until I find an answer, because I've always had the answers.
So you say you'll ask your dad, you ask your uncles, like these are some elders that you trust.
Yeah, that know a lot. You know, they know much more than I do.
Yeah, so they're knowledgeable in your eyes, and so when they tell you, right, and so when they and if they tell you, and I'm going to tell you what they're going to say. I'm not a prophet, but when they tell you, oh yeah, man, you know, it's just different dialects, and it was revealed, you know, in both ways. You know, it's just the dialect. They don't really change the meaning, and you bring this up, and they say that. What would your mindset be when they give you that response?
Well, they haven't really given me the response yet.
I know. I'm saying, what would you do if they gave you that response? That, oh yeah, it's just dialect. It all means the same. It all goes back to the prophet. We believe in all of it. No problem. It's not a different Quran.
Well, that's not going to happen. Probably.
Probably. You gotta have a lot of faith, huh? So look, my door is always open for people who, you know, who take this stuff and they go back and they ask their elders, ask the imams, sheikhs, family members that they trust. I want you to come back and tell me what they told you. I'll be waiting on you, man. I'll be waiting. I want you to come back. I'm live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my normal live stream days. So I would love for you to come back and tell me what you found, and we could talk further. Okay?
Sure thing.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. You were patient. I appreciate you taking the time to look at what we showed and noting it down. I definitely appreciate that. Sometimes
I will definitely be looking at this.
For sure. For sure. All right. You take care, man. God bless you, bro.
See you. See you.
All right. Well, I think that a seed was planted, and that's all we can wish for and hope for, and that God grows and waters if he chooses to. And you know, we'll see what happens. Let's pray for him.
Amen.
Let's pray for him. Let's pray for him.